Northern Journey feels like it was designed in an alternate universe. Even other than its overt weirdness, it's weird in some really subtle ways as well, like the maximalist settings where there's no submenus. Imagine that was a trend that took on instead of submenu based options navigation. And the first thing that hits you when you enter the game, wide. The default FOV is 120. There's also the fact that the way you talk is by running into people and you close that menu by running off. Also, I would like to mention that for some reason YouTube compression really hits this game. No video on YouTube on this game actually looks any good or does the game justice. So just believe me when I say it's a sharp and really nice looking game when you're actually playing it and not like smeared vaseline on screen. And as for the overt weirdness, the most normal of Scandinavian villages. Northern Journey is an exploration game at its heart, and as you explore you come across various weird and bizarre things throughout the different environments you go through. Special thing about this weirdness is that since it's based on Norwegian folklore, the entities you see seem to fit in perfectly with the world they reside in. Or maybe Norway just has some fucked up wilderness. These European forests are scary, let me tell you that. The game starts with you being stranded on a rocky mountainous coast. As you make your way up, you come across the traveling flute player, ready to put you to use before you have even dried off your clothes. A real opportunist. The rest of the game is about finding the three things the flute player mentions. Damn it, bitches send me on a 12-hour long fetch quest. Beyond that, there's a skeleton story that holds your progression together, but there isn't really much to it. Hell, there's not much to the writing in the game overall. And what there is, I don't think comes together all that well. The characters just have some intentionally weird dialogue and dumb jokes, so that is not the reason to go through this journey. This northern journey. What makes Northern Journey work is its stellar presentation. From the start to the end, the game keeps introducing different environments. We start near the coast, make our way through a forest, and enter a swamp, and from there we make our way up to a beautiful river valley with deep gorges and canyons. Each area has a different color palette, brought together by excellent textures. Like look at the colors on this wood, or this rusted metal machinery. I can literally breathe in the iron smell. It's all pretty stellar. The game just captures the wonder of exploration. Sometimes just following a path to the end through rocky terrain and sheer slopes. Fascinated to see where it will lead. Coming into Green Street from the swamp and opening my eyes to beautiful green scenery, where plants seem to have overtaken even steps of the stairs, is a moment that got stuck in my head. All the while the environments remain grounded. Sound design in general is also pretty good. The environmental audio really makes it feel like I'm in that place. The rushing wind, the swift rivers, and waterfalls, the claustrophobic feel of the underground areas, everything is captured perfectly. I visit and explore mountains myself pretty much every year, and the game's atmosphere was good enough that it floods my mind with actual memories while playing the game. Then there's the music. It's not actually an ambient soundtrack like what I expected. There is use of flute in the Dead World track, some vocals in the Green State one, and overall they match the surroundings pretty well. The environments taken straight out of actual Norwegian places is actually a huge positive for the game's exploration in general, as it makes the weirdness stand out. That's not even weird if you have been to a swamp. You would know that's an average sized swamp mosquito. The local fauna in this game is violent. I'm one of the weird people who actually like spiders, and man, this game was gonna make me an arachnophobe. It is as recommended for an arachnophobe to play this game as it is to show an epileptic the Pokemon Porygon episode. Don't worry, I'm not actually gonna play that. And apart from spiders, there's other insects that inhabit every part of the world. And they are always hostile, from huge flies to centipedes to underwater worms. A real entomologist's game. There's also some ordinary mammals to fight here and there, some bears, some moose, and the like. And there's weirder ones too, like infected sheep, skeleton, cave trolls, and whatever the fuck this is. But I do have one issue. The enemy audio is not that memorable. I wish the enemies had some distinctive calls or some weird noises or even some screeches you could hear that fills the surroundings. Then there's the more mysterious creatures. The entity known as Nokken, gazing intently at you, pulling you to your drowned demise with a song that clouds your mind. Or the black spy sneaking around you with motives unknown. Everything just adds to the atmosphere and feel of a particular area. All of it feels like it belongs together and I'm exploring an actual real world. And that's not even the only thing that makes the exploration work. The game also uses a Metroidvania-like progression at points, with you finding keys to opening previous areas, coming out and opening shortcuts all the way to the back. It's always really satisfying to just set up a ladder and join up two old areas. And you do need to go back to old areas, as you can often unlock more areas with keys you found, and these keys could be anything. It could be strength from dead men, it could be, well, just a key, a crank, or it could be a new tool you get to use to traverse the world on rope lines. Then there's the unique mechanics and gimmicks to the different areas, most of which work really well. They add some variety to the gameplay loop and can be as simple as just an area with no enemies where you can move around freely to being able to explore underwater in a small submarine. The game really doesn't have an area that is straight up boring. I cannot stress this enough that this is a single person's work. The range of content this game has is genuinely impressive for a game of its kind, let alone a single dev game. Honestly, I'm kinda surprised I managed to find my way through the game with no help, cause often the way forward is down or up while you're moving across tiny slivers of walkable terrain, steps or planks making sure not to fall, and if you fall it's certain death. Sometimes the path even felt hidden underneath some overgrown foliage. There's a fair amount of platforming in this game as well, and it's pretty good. There's some jank to the movement, like sometimes my character would hit something and come to a stop. Getting stuck happened surprisingly often. But what made it work overall was the fact that there's no stupid ambiguity about whether I was safely standing or not. No randomly falling off shit here. Though one mid-game area in particular, Sourwood, got really annoying with the constant back and forth over precarious platforms. It's a tedious problem when the only map you have is pretty much useless for actual navigation and players have to go through some perplexing level design and put up with annoying spam of enemies throughout the entire area. Which brings me to the combat of the game. The most notable thing about this game's combat is that there is no melee weapon in this game. It's either a crossbow or a throwable. I thought I was wrong when I came across swords, but no, the dev is just fucking with you. That's a throwable as well. The first weapon you get is a stone sling, the only chargeable weapon in the game. It's pretty fun to use, and there's the unique in-game crosshair to show where the stone will land. The bow is a weird one. You don't charge it, but you have to put it down after a while. There's a repeating crossbow for dealing with crowds, spear crossbow for sniping, and the powerful throwable axe as well. And that's not even all of them. The game gives you a whole assortment of weapons till the last moment, and sometimes even gives you temporary weapons to fight bosses with. The whole thing is aided by some pretty diverse enemies. The game advertises on the store page with 50 unique bosses and enemy types, and yeah, quite lives up to that. But I will have to pause my praise right about now. I don't think the combat is this game's strong suit. It works to add some tension while exploring, and I'm always curious with what strangeness the dev will bring with new enemies in an area. But man, did it get tiring to fight flying insects with a weird flight pattern and a huge swarm of spiders by the end of the game. A lot of these parts surprisingly reminded me of Serious Sam, though just moving backwards will get you killed in most of these fights. Then there's the boss fights. Some of them are genuinely very fun, punctuating your progress through an area really well, while others are just annoying, though I would say most of them work well. I would like to leave on a positive note and say that the balance is maintained well for most of the game. But I have one final complaint. Spoilers for the final section of the game. The last part of the game does not work for me. I have already said that I am not a fan of the writing or the story of the game, so the gameplay was the thing to look forward to. That is just 4 back-to-back boss fights separated by a pretty underwhelming area and some annoying fights. So yeah, not exactly a high note to end on. But the journey overall had been well worth it. This stands out as a really unique game, and I will definitely follow whatever the dev does next, as I wouldn't even mind more of the same. Speaking of that though, remember to check out the developer's own video about Northern Journey. It's a short and cool look into the development of the game, and the developer looks like he will fit right in with the game. I want more of these kinds of games, a weird, ambitious and singular vision, resulting in something that while a bit flawed, oozes charm and creativity.